Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new Batman 2021 video. So today's video, I'm pretty excited to make it because I asked you guys what you want to see in the Batman. And I thought I'd make a responding to your comments video, just kind of like an open discussion. So a lot of your comments will be featured in this video. Naturally, there was like over 100 and something comments. And even if I do 20 comments in a video where I'm reading it out, discussing what you want to see in the Batman, it takes a long time. So I'm sorry if I don't reach your comment in particular. Let me know if you want to see a part 2 to this video. But since there's so much information coming out on the Batman, I've had plenty to say about it, and I'll probably have more things to say about it in this video, but I want to base that on what you think. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. The questions are in no kind of particular order. There's a bunch to talk about, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, go ahead and like it. Why not? But let's dive into question number 1, and that is from Cody Zombie Wrecker. These usernames always entertain me. A setup for Robin. So you want to see a setup for Robin. I really want to see Dick Grayson in this trilogy, and I'm going to pair this, I think. There was another question. Let me just try and find that quickly. From Atomic Samurai. I'd like to see a picture of Dick Grayson in a newspaper or something establishing him as a character for a future movie in a subtle manner. I have a lot of thoughts on Robin. Lots of people asking in the community section where I said to you guys, you know, ask me. No, not ask me. This isn't really a Q&A. It's like, what do you want to see? Let me know. A lot of people said Nightwing, and I'm kind of confused by that. This is why I chose these two comments, because they're saying setup for Robin, and the second comment from Atomic Samurai is saying at least maybe like a picture of Dick Grayson in the newspaper, obviously after the Flying Graysons accident, you know, and I think that's a lot more believable. So what I have to say to that is fair enough, but Nightwing, that would just be like, wait, what? This is like Batman Year 2, apparently. For him to have a Robin who's already Nightwing, not even Robin, it would just be, I don't think that's going to happen. Don't forget that this is supposedly, you know, meant to be a trilogy. I'm not opposed to having Nightwing or Robin, Dick Grayson introduced in the second movie or the third movie, but I really want this first Batman movie with Robert Pattinson to be a proper grinding, you know, noir detective story, point of view driven, you know, the story told squarely off Bruce Wayne's shoulders, or should I say Batman's shoulders, and I don't think there's much time to fit in a little mini Robin, especially right at the beginning of his career when his suit isn't even fully made, you know. I mean, it is, but you get what I'm trying to say. I think that will come further down the road. Don't forget that if this trilogy does come to complete fruition, which I don't see why it won't, we've got like 6 years, roughly, you know, that's what I'm saying anyway, until that third movie comes out. There's plenty of time for that. Okay, so the next comment about the Batman 2021 and what you want to see in it is from Dan's, I'm not going to pronounce the second name, a comic accurate Batcave with the T-Rex and the giant penny. Now, I believe there might have been another comment similar to this. Yeah, again from Manuel Castillo. I want to see Batman's trophy collection of memorabilia from his rogues gallery. Also, seeing more than one of Batman's villains in the frame together would be amazing. So for that last bit, yeah, I agree. But as for this whole Batcave stuff with the memorabilia from his rogues gallery, and then as we had Dan just say, a comics accurate Batcave, fair enough, I completely agree with that, with the T-Rex and the giant penny, that would be epic, that would be so good. But I think people are forgetting the premise of this trilogy. This Batcave, I want it to be great. I really do. I want it to have multiple platforms. I want it to be really big and open. I want it to have experimental stuff going on in the background, bits of gear, technology. But as for the Rogues Gallery stuff, this is the confusing aspect. Rumors have already been proven to be false about this movie. You know, with the whole blue and gray tint to the Batsuit. That, I mean, I guess you could argue there might be more than one Batsuit in this movie, but I think it's unlikely he would go from the current Batsuit reveal from Matt Reeves to a blue and, you know what I'm trying to say. So there was another rumor, this is, you know, to get to the point, where Batman's Rogues Gallery is already active and out there in the movie. Apparently all of them. I really don't know if that includes Joker though. That's like a thing that just bogs my mind. It's like, did Batman create him? Has he already been a rat? Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? But getting back to the point, I digress. I don't think this Batman Year 2 it's practically so many 0 year elements, year one elements with his suit. You guys know what I'm trying to say right now. Why would he have the memorabilia and stuff like that from his rogues gallery already? So that's why I think we're going to have a very, think of Batman's suit and how newbie it looks and cool at the same time. I say newbie because like the freaking blades coming out of his arms are straps, and so on and so forth. It's very makeshift. So I think the Batcave will mirror that. But along the movies, by movie 2, movie 3 in the trilogy, we might get what you want. But as for the first movie, no. Okay, so John the Revelator says, for his wants in the Batman, I just don't want to see bats blowing up bad guys. I wholly and fully agree with you there. I really don't want to see that. I don't want a Batman who murders. Say what you will about Ben Affleck's Batman. You love him, you hate him, you're in between. I think most of the majority of the fan base, I say the majority, not everyone, agrees that the collateral damage, if you will, sure, you could say maybe he did straight up murder a couple of times. I don't think he did. You could argue around that. But yeah, he basically, bottom line, killed people. I don't want to see that. However, I want to see this very newbie Robert Pattinson Batman come very, 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 very close to doing that. This movie, I think, when I imagine it in the ways that we're getting the flavors and feels for, it gives me literal chills. I want, I can't remember the quote what Robert Pattinson said, but it's got to be like a very unsanitized, unfiltered, brutal kind of Batman. I think that's got to be the case in this movie. I think whatever he's investigating in this noir detective story is going to push him to the limit. I've said this in multiple videos. I want him to go. Matt Reeves has already said he's going through a transformation, like what arc he's going through in this film. And I think that transformation, or should I say the arc that leads to that transformation, is going to be brutal on him. And it's going to push him to the limits to the point where he might almost kill. So we're going to see like brutal, maybe torture, maybe, finger snapping kind of action that you might be familiar with in terms of Batman's moods when he's not dealing with any shite from a criminal, so to speak. But I don't want to see him kill. But I think it would be really cool if he almost went there. Like if he's like about to snap somebody's neck kind of thing when he's like leading into this investigation and maybe it's tied to the Wayne murders and he finds out this revelation and he wants to do it but he can't do it. Do you know what I mean? That kind of emotional scene, liken it to that of I don't know, Clark, or should I say Superman in Man of Steel, when he doesn't want to snap Zod's neck but he has to. Not that I want Batman to do that, but do you know what I mean? That kind of emotion that Henry Cavill gave out, I think Robert Pattinson is more than capable. And I think we're going to see that. Okay, so Brick Studios 105, what you want to see from the Batman is I want to see all of Batman's villains, okay? With no origin stories whatsoever. All of them established and it having an Arkham game narrative with lots of action and drama. So the main thing I draw out of this comment is you want to see all of his villains with no origin stories. Interesting. Like, I don't really necessarily mind that because I went into this based off those rumors. I took it with a grain of salt, but the initial rumors coming out of this, as it was in very, very early pre-production, was more or less that, as I've already said a second ago, most of his rogues gallery has already been out there and active. They might not all be featured in the film, but you can be sure that, there's no origin kind of BS to this. They're already out there. It's not Batman year 1, but it's Batman kind of year 2-ish. It's kind of like we're not at the beginning, but we're not at the end. We're not even at the middle, but it's already established. I was okay with that, with no origin stories, but I think, with Edward Nashton in this film, I wouldn't call it an origin story, but I feel like the series of events, whether the Riddler really is the main antagonist, and that is, behind the detective story that Robert Pattinson's Bruce is following throughout the movie. I feel like he might not actually have the name of the Riddler. That might come very early. It might come half an hour in once the crimes start happening and, Batman starts following the clues and the press and whoever call him the Riddler. But I think initially the reason why they went with Edward Nashton, his original name, a lot of people saying, what, Boba got it wrong in the video. It's not Edward Nashton, it's Edward Nigma. Well, it actually is Edward Nashton. That was the original name. And who knows, it could turn into Enigma for Enigma, Edward Nigma, eventually in the movie. So it is kind of an origin maybe, but I don't think it will be a proper origin for Edward Nigma, Edward Nashton, the Riddler. I think it will be like an arc for his character as well. I think some of them will be few and kind of far between. Like Penguin is already Penguin, but he's not exactly Penguin 10 years down the line of Batman. This is year 2 Penguin. But then you'll have other villains, as I just said, like Edward Nygma, or should I say Nashton, who becomes the Riddler in this film and is already very disjointed in the head and blah, blah, blah. But he's not Edward Nygma, the Riddler, right from the get-go of the movie. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, so this other comment about the movie is basically on what we just said. Almighty DC, Batman's other villains getting a spotlight. Well, we at least know Riddler and Penguin are in it. I would be surprised if we didn't get any others. I think other people, or villains should I say, Rogues Gallery even, will be featured in it, but maybe more in the background. I don't know if we're going to get, you know, for example, it would be gobsmacking if there was Joker, Scarecrow, Firefly, Riddler, Mad Hatter, Two-Face. I think Two-Face isn't even Two-Face. I think Harvey Dent is a thing happening down the line, maybe. But, you know, it'll be very interesting. I would actually be very interested if this is a Batman Year 2 movie. He's not even fully developed as Batman. You know, you can very much so tell that from the premise of the film, but not only that, but his suit. And there's already Two-Face out there. There's already the Joker out there, Mad Hatter, everyone. I mean, holy crap, like, it would be really? Like, I just don't think that's going to happen, but I think we're going to get a few. I think another thing just about this is that as a fandom, we almost need to slow down a little bit in our excitement. We need to remember, as I've kind of already said in this video, this is three films. There's plenty of time to do this. This is why I kind of made a video. It's very interesting reading those replies on that video. It's like, should Joker be a villain in the Batman trilogy? And some people were saying, well, duh, of course, like, why is this video even a thing? Like, it goes without saying. But most of them were saying no. No. I want other Batman villains getting the spotlight, as you just said. Joker would be amazing. I even offered an alternative take at the end of that video, where I said maybe at the end of the third movie to kind of appease that and to picture this Robert Pattinson Batman. You know, even though the trilogy's going to end, we can kind of pick up in our heads where the story may go. Maybe end the third film with the introduction of the Joker, and it's like, oh, you know, that's where he's going to go. But because he's been done quite a bit recently, I really wouldn't mind a trilogy about Riddler, Penguin, other villains, rather than doing another Dark Knight trilogy and having the Joker in the second or third movie. It's like, maybe, I get it, I would be excited, don't get me wrong, I really would, but maybe it's time to do a whole trilogy without that character. Now, I found this very interesting when I was screenshotting this comment, because it just made me think, what are they going to do with this? Everything Marvel and DC says, what he wants to see in the film is, I just hope that the film will start off with about 10 minutes or something like that, showing him going away from Gotham and training with Ra's al Ghul, whatever way you want to say it, or another guy if Reeves wants to change that up. This isn't meant to be an origin movie, so some would say, why would we see the training in that? Or like, you know, how Bruce became the capable man in many different aspects of what makes him Batman, physically, mentally, whatever. But I wouldn't say no to that, even though he is a couple years in. You know, he's already Batman in this movie. This could be done through comments to Alfred, you know, dialogue. It could be done through a flashback. Flashbacks, I feel like, you know, whether, you know, I'm saying this right now, there might be somebody writing a comment saying, nah, that might not be it. It depends how the flashback is done. He might, when coming to a certain scene in the film, whether it's a part of the detective mode or he just remembers something that he was taught, I wouldn't mind that. But I think if, as you said yourself, I just hope the film will start off with about 10 minutes or something, with, you know, him training with someone like Ra's or somebody else entirely, or multiple people, you know, like the comics. I think that would come off as a bit origin-y. Unless, you know, as I've read in other places, that this movie does take place over a long period of time, a couple years maybe or something, then maybe they could find time for that, and then it's just like instantly at the beginning of the film, just like a lot of other films do, it says 2 years later. That would be cool. That would be cool. I don't know if I would want a Batman versus Superman, for example. You know at the beginning where we have the mini Affleck and you have the Tomb and the Wayne scenes, and how it just jumps. I would feel like that's unnecessary. But then again, I don't know. It's just like, I like all of it. It's very hard. Man, like, what? Could you imagine making this movie and having that pressure? Jesus. So from Robert, he wants to see Alfred play bigger roles, such as fighting off a thug on the streets whilst he's in the middle of food shopping, or just be tougher on Bruce to build his character. To be honest, I'm very excited to see Andy play Alfred. Yep, for the same reasons as me. Some people, when I was talking about the casting of Andy Serkis as Alfred, weren't so on board of it, but the reason why I was is because after seeing Gotham, like in recent years, Alfred has been made into more of like a bit more of the background of his character, a bit less of the frail kind of butler, which is definitely a version of Alfred I love and many people prefer even. But I've come to prefer over recent years a more like proper imposing Alfred, a more one that could be hands on. I'm not talking about Alfred at all being one of frickin' Batman's Robins or anything, but as you said, maybe there is a scene where he shows off his ex-military skills or something. Even if not that, we see a younger Alfred who is, you know, probably even maybe even works out, and as you said, is a bit tougher on Bruce. Like, you can see why Bruce became, like, obviously Bruce became this man because of frickin' his origin. That's why he wanted to become the Batman. But you can also see who helped nurture him to get to that point. This kind of ex-military frickin' butler guy who is Andy Serkis, who supports what he's doing. Obviously, Alfred always does, whether he's a more frailly kind of Alfred or not. But I feel like I understand the vision Reeves sees in this Alfred, and it's something I'm totally on board with. Just kind of like what you want to see, I feel like they're going to do that, at least in essence, and the kind of vibe he gives off throughout the film. Okay, so Dennis wants to see multiple things. It's kind of a cheeky comment because there's multiple things. I'll try read them all out. Can't guarantee I'm going to answer every single one in terms of what, you know, I think of that. But okay, Boba, you got to put this in. So what I want to see from the Batman 2021 is I want to see an upgrade, wow, to the fight scene that was in the warehouse in BVS. Done better, longer, and even more powerful than we can imagine at the moment. That's crazy, dude, because that fight scene was probably one of the best. It was definitive Batman fighting on screen than what we've ever had. I don't see how anyone can disagree with that. Of course, you can have your own opinion, but like, I don't think anything's been done better in live action than that very scene. So you want bigger and better than that? Very interesting. Now, what I have to say about that in terms of what Reeves is going to do with fighting in this film is going to be stylistically different, obviously, because it's a very noir-driven detective story film. But that's not obviously going to be without his fighting scenes. Of course, you can't have Batman without a Batman fighting scene. I would agree that I want Robert Pattinson's stunt double like to do something like how brutal Ben Affleck was. But yet again, that Batman was 20 years in. Obviously, take away the whole killing thing. Let's assume Robert Pattinson isn't doing that. What was still so good about that scene in Batman vs. Superman is it was how Batman should freaking be. Like, slamming people down into the floor, like, launching stuff with his grapple hook. Like, especially that wide shot. Do you remember that shot where it goes wider and you see Batman using his wrist guards and gauntlets, if you will, to, like, block the multiple thugs? That would be incredible. That is the multi-combat, multiple things going on Batman I want to see. I don't see why they couldn't do that. I definitely don't think the Nolan approach, the slow, you know, fighting Batman, that would be a bit... I kind of get... I got what they were going with that, and I like it, but I would rather more of a BVS one, definitely. But I don't know if they could top it. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't as good as it. But even if it isn't as good as the BVS one, if it's something near to that, that would be good enough for me. I think this film's going to concentrate more on... the other aspects of what they want to maintain, which is the more story-driven elements to Detective Batman. Don't get me wrong, they're going to do takedowns, they're going to do freaking grapple hook stuff, I'm sure, and fighting, but I don't think that's going to be such a concentrated on thing. I don't know. Yet again, I'm talking for ages and I've only answered the first question in your thing. I want Batman to glide over the city. I want it to be on the nose. That is awesome he can do this. I get what you're saying, but I don't know if he even himself has the tech in this film. Maybe that will change towards the end and in the trilogy, but I don't know what is capable of doing yet, considering his suit. You know, the straps just say it all for me. Like, normally those are blades on the side, but they're just straps. So I'd be surprised if he can actually glide over the city with that cape. I want him to change suits, okay? Referring to Reddit leak, Apparently, yeah, this has been a thing out there. Apparently, the suit from Reeves is a prototype and actually gets destroyed, and he builds a similar comic accurate suit to the BVS suit. I don't know if I believe that. That's quite a change. I know that suit at the minute. I really like it. I don't get what the hate's about. Obviously, that's a stunt suit as well. That's really important for people to remember. But going from that kind of proper armory version to just a flat fabric one, I don't think he would do that. I think the upgraded suit would look better, but I think it would still maintain the kind of look it has. I think the straps would obviously turn into blades. I think the torso would still be quite buffed out, so to speak. I think the shoulder pads would be better shoulder pads, or pauldrons, or whatever you want to say, but they would look better. I still feel like it's going to be quite armor-esque rather than the fabric-y version. But I'd be surprised, but I would be on board. I want Bruce to fall in love with Selina, but showing restraint because he knows she is and always will be a criminal. Wholeheartedly agree there. Very excited to see that dynamic between Selina and Bruce. Even if that's maintained to the third film, to the point where like she's still like that. We don't see the romance truly blossom because she, as you said yourself, she's always and will be a criminal. But maybe in the third film, he cracks through that very tough kind of exterior. I want a Joker reveal tease at the end of the movie, just like Batman Begins. I respectfully disagree with that. I think that would be, I don't know, just for the reasons I said before. I feel like it would be like Dark Knight all over again. It's like, yes, it would be a completely new take, completely new story, completely new universe, but I think other villains need the spotlight. But, you know, each to their own. I kind of both agree and disagree with that. And lastly, I want the Batmobile to be a mix between the Burton Batmobile and the BVS Batmobile. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, yeah. We're still yet to see the Batmobile. I think people thought they would see it over the past couple of days from this video, but it turns out it wasn't. I remember there was a filming car, like a camera car, a very small one, and people were thinking that could have been the Batmobile, but yet we've only seen the Batcycle, which looks amazing as it is. Mr. Sim wants white eyes in the cow. I get that. Even I kind of wanted it at a period of time. And even recently, people were thinking that the kind of lenses the stunt double guy had were the white eyes. I really don't think that's the case. I'll just say the same thing again. In the Matt Reeves reveal, Robert Pattinson, you could see his eyes with the kind of black makeup there. I don't think what we saw in the stunt double were for those lenses. Like, those lenses weren't just for his actual eyes. They were for the whole gap that the cowl provides. And if those were all to be, if those two lenses were all to be converted into white, he would have huge eyes, huge white eyes, and it wouldn't look right. A lot of people saying they just want the white eyes on the actual eye area. I would agree that would look 10 times better, but I don't think this Batman would have that. He just hasn't kitted himself out to that point yet. So I'm gonna have to say I would like that, but I don't think that's gonna happen. If it's true that he's going to get another suit, which he will get another suit in the trilogy, of course he will, that's possible, but it definitely won't be on that first suit. I would be very, very surprised if somehow that leathery cow just, you know, got massive lenses. Joe says, I would really love some references or hints or teasers to villains we've never seen in live action movies before, such as Pig, Mad Hatter, Clayface, Solomon. I completely agree. Clayface, Solomon Grundy, Man-Bat. I feel like it would make for some nice world building, but having them just as subtle references instead of full-blown appearances would keep the movie a little smaller so there wouldn't be too much going on, which I think is nice. I completely agree. You don't always have to have every villain in these films, in this trilogy, but you know, that would make for a nice change. Could you imagine, like, considering this is more of a noir detective-y based one, like Batman going after Professor Pig? I know that would be amazing, and I can already predict some people might say that's great in video games or comics and stuff, but it might not translate so well to the film. But I think given the right time and preparation for it, Professor Pig could be pulled off very, very well. Gotham did it very well. Even in terms of what you're saying, the world building, just subtle Easter eggs, hints. This is Batman Year 2. There could be lots of opportunity for other villains out there to be established, even if they're not front and center, kind of like how I said at the beginning of this video. And other than that, guys, there are so many other questions that I would really love to get to, even ones that I screenshotted, but this video is going on for quite some time now. I will say what Snoke wants to see. It looks like he has Batarangs in the bat symbol, the gun pieces from the murder. His parents could be the handle of the Batarangs. Now, I do believe that could be the gun from his parents' murder. It definitely looks like a gun's kind of split in two, and then like that, and then like he added a little bit, or maybe even cut it around into a bat wing. However, I don't think they're detachable. I initially thought that was a possibility, but I don't know if it is. I haven't seen any kind of Batarang pictures yet. Like, he hasn't been carrying any, at least from what we can see. So maybe it could be detachable, and that's why people are saying that, because it's not like we've seen him attached to his like belt in those leaked photos or anything like that. I believe there was another comment about Batarangs being more included in this film. Affleck's Batman touched on it a bit more. And I would agree. I would love to see that. I would love to see like the fling of Batarangs a lot more. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to say that that could be the gun, and that's just something poetic, if you will, that he's just made into a part of his armor. Into the bat symbol. It would be cool if he could remove it, but like, I've looked at that suit 1,000 times, and it's just like, how does he do that? Does he just like dig it out? Does he press it and it comes out? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to do that. But yeah, I would love to see a bit more of like a fling of a Batarang, and more kind of brutal uses of the tools that he has, obviously without the killing. But yeah, that would be awesome. But as I just said a second ago, even though I took like around 30 screenshots of questions out of like almost 150-ish that you guys asked, I thought I was going to answer most of them, but well, on this recording, we're getting to quite a long time. So let me know if you want to see a part 2 to this video, where there's a lot more questions, like progressions of the suit, and so many more, Lucius Fox involvement, all kinds of things. I would love to know if you would like to see another video from me reading your comments about what you want to see in the Batman. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a long one, but it's kind of more of a discussion-y video with you guys. Other than that, guys, subscribe for more Batman videos like this, but obviously you know, updates on the film when it's breaking. You can trust that I will be posting about it, and just other videos in the DC comic book world, and other things as well. But thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. It really does mean a lot to me that you took a few minutes out of your day. Well, a few minutes, quite a while in this video on this channel. That is everything, so I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you, Bat Family, in the next video. Goodbye.